All right, let's go over example 1 using mental math, and this is part of chapter 3, section 4, the distributive property. Problem A says 8 times 53. Okay, so we're going to break 53 apart into smaller numbers so it's easier to multiply. So we're going to use the distributive property to do that. So we're going to keep the 8 the same, and then in parentheses, I'm going to break 53 apart into 50 plus 3, because I know that 50 plus 3 is 53. And I chose 50 plus 3 because I just use what's in the tens place, which is a 5, and I know that 5 really represents 50. And then I used what's in the ones place, which is 3, and I know that 3 really represents 3. Okay, so what I did is I wrote 53 as 50 plus 3. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 8 to the 50, and then I'm going to distribute the 8 to the 3. So let me draw a line like that so you can see I'm going to distribute the 8 to the 50 and distribute the 8 to the 3. So then my expression is going to read 8 and then parentheses 50 plus, because we're adding within the parentheses, we keep their operation the same, 8 parentheses 3. So see, now there's 2 8s because we distributed the 8 twice because there's 2 numbers inside the parentheses. So this was using the distributive property. We distributed the 8. Okay, now we get to multiply. We can solve 8 times 50. Well, 50 is a big number, but if we cover up that 0, it's the same thing as 8 times 5. And I know that 8 times 5, looking at my multiplication table, is 40. And then we have to add another 0 because we covered up the 0 first so we could multiply 8 times 5, and then we add the 0 back in the answer. So I know 8 times 50 is 400. Plus, and then 8 times 3, looking at my chart, is 24. And what did we do there? We multiplied. And then we just add 400 plus 24, which is 424. And that's it. So that was a lot easier than solving 8 times 53. All right, let's do another one together. So we have 5 times 41. Well, I'm going to break 41 apart into 40 plus 1. So my expression is going to read 5, and then parentheses, 40 plus 1. Okay, so what I did there is I wrote 41 as 40 plus 1. And I broke it into 40 plus 1, or into 40 and 1, because I know the 4 in 41 represents 40. 4 is in the tens place. And then the 1 in the ones place just represents 1. Okay, let's continue to solve. Now we're going to distribute the 5. The 5 is going to be distributed to the 40, and the 5 is going to be distributed to the 1. So my expression will read 5 parentheses 40 plus 5 parentheses 1. So notice there's 2 5s because we distributed the 5 twice to both of the numbers inside the parentheses. And again, that was using the distributive property. And now let's solve. We can solve 5 times 40. Now 40 is a little big, so I'm going to cover up my 0, and I'm going to solve 5 times 4. Well, 5 times 4 is 20, and then we add that 0 back that we covered up. So 5 times 40 is 200, plus 5 times 1 is 5. And in that step, we multiplied. And then we need to add. So 200 plus 5 is 205. Okay. I encourage you to pause the video and see if you can solve 9 times 19 and 6 times 37 using the same method that I did. Okay, let's go ahead and solve them together. So 9 times 19, I'm going to break 19 apart into smaller numbers. So I'm going to keep 9 the same, parentheses. Let's see, I know the 1 in 19 is really 10. And the 9 in 19 is really just 9. Oops. Oops. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what I did there is I wrote 19 as 10 plus 9. Okay. Now we need to distribute the 9 to what's inside the parentheses. I'm going to distribute the 9 to the 10 and distribute the 9 to the other 9. So now my expression is going to read 9 parentheses 10. Oops. 10 plus 9 parentheses 9. And that was the distributive property. Okay, now let's continue to solve. 9 times 10 is 90, plus 9 times 9 is 81. And what we did there is we multiplied. And last but not least, we get to add. 90 plus 81 is 171. Okay, now let's check out this last problem. 6 times 37. It's written slightly different in that there's not the x as the multiplication symbol. Instead, 37 has parentheses around it. But we know that parentheses also mean multiplication. And we know we can still split up that 37 into 2 smaller numbers. So I'm going to split 37 into, well, I know the 3 in the 37 is in the tens place. So the 3 really stands for 30. Plus, and the 7 in the ones place just stands for 7. So I wrote 37 as 30 plus 7. Okay, and then we're going to distribute the 6. We're going to distribute the 6 to the 30 and the 6 to the 7. So my expression will now read 6 parentheses 30. That means multiplying, plus we're adding within the parentheses, and then 6 parentheses 7, 6 times 7. And again, that was the distributive property. And then we can multiply, let's see, 30 is kind of a big number, so let's cover up that 0 and 30 and find 6 times 3 and then add the 0 back. So 6 times 3 is 18, and then add that 0 back that we covered up, plus I know that 6 times 7 is 42. And in that step we multiplied. And then we get to add. I know that 180 plus 42 is 222. So that's using mental math to solve longer multiplication problems.